Great Pyramid. A masterful feat of engineering designed to provoke awe and wonder in all who behold it.
The Great Pyramid at Giza is 50 stories high, and for the ancient Egyptians, it's meant to be sunlight translated into stone.
Egyptologists now know what we see today is the monument's inner structures.
When the outer casing stone was on these pyramids, they were bright white, and they would have been blinding to look upon when the sun was shining on them.
Under the orders of the great Pharaoh Khufu, construction begins around 2580 BCE and takes decades to complete.
There were probably 20,000 to 30,000 people involved with building the Great Pyramid. It's beyond belief. It's still the largest stone structure in the world. It is the Great Pyramid.
Within sight of the Great Pyramid lie two others, all three built within just 70 years.
Looking up at these three mountains of stone, they seem impossible to have built. It's something that can't possibly exist in this world.
Satellite imagery is proving to be something of a revelation. We had been thinking that the River Nile is where it is and that is where it always was, but the satellite images are showing us that that's not the case and that actually it might have moved over time. If that river is moving hundreds of meters, then how we understand the relationship between archaeological monuments and the river is completely transformed.
Egyptologists begin to consider an astonishing possibility. The stones of the Great Pyramid at Giza could be transported vast distances by boat along the Nile. To explore this remarkable theory, scientists peer beneath the sands of the Giza Plateau.
We're using remote sensing techniques, including drill coring. It's a kind of keyhole surgery form of archaeology, which allows us to see deep beneath the ground in areas where water would have been.
The analysis confirms that the ancient path of the River Nile runs close to the pyramids. When archaeologists dig to find physical evidence of a harbour, they discover something on a truly grand scale. A marina estimated at over 1,500 feet long and 1,300 feet wide.
It was really waterfront property back then. The harbor at Giza was probably the largest harbor in the world at its time.
The idea that there's a harbor at Giza is so far removed from the idea we previously would have had. We now know they would have arrived on water, on boats.
Yet if all this is true, another riddle emerges. Precisely how do the pyramid boatmen transport stone, sometimes weighing up to 10 tons, hundreds of kilometers along the Nile? In 2013 comes the final piece of the puzzle. Excavating more than 30 honeycombed caves on the banks of the Red Sea, archaeologists uncover beautifully preserved scrolls, the oldest known papyri in the world.
You may have gold statues or colossal figures in other places, and so scraps of papyri may not seem that exciting, but it's the words, it's what they tell us that brings so much.
Translating the writings, experts conclude this is the diary of a man named Mera, a transport inspector in charge of a team of 40 boatmen working on the Great Pyramid.
These are really day-to-day records of a person who clearly participated in the construction of the pyramids. It's really remarkable and not something that would have been expected.
Mera's diaries reveal in intricate detail how the pyramid stones make their long journey from the quarry.
Mera is traveling from the Red Sea westwards towards Giza. He stops in the area of Tura, which is a place well known for the quarrying of the very finest kind of limestone to provide the final layer, the casing on the pyramids. It confirms that it is the Nile that allows the stone to be conveyed to the site, and that explains why Giza is chosen as the place for pyramid building.
As the only known first-hand record in existence of how the pyramids are constructed, the scrolls prove that without the waters of the Nile, one of the world's greatest architectural feats would not have been possible. In 2002, archaeologists uncover something that could shed light on the popular belief. They dig on the Giza plateau, uncovering walls and outlines of buildings. Egyptologists believe it is a workers' village, just 400 meters from the pyramids.
On the Giza plateau itself, archaeologists have discovered the administrative structures where the workmen who constructed the pyramids both lived and constructed their own tombs.
They also unearth artifacts that reveal the workers' diet and lifestyle, evidence of how they live.
The most common pottery types we find at Giza are bread molds and beer jars. We find thousands of them. So they were eating bread and drinking beer.
Along with beer jars, archaeologists find something entirely unexpected. Fragments of over 150,000 animal bones, from fish, birds, and remarkably, from cattle.
At the city of the pyramid builders, we have found enough cattle bone to have fed 7,000 people meat every day for 20 years.
Beef would have been a fairly expensive meat in ancient Egypt. And the fact that that's one of the things that they were eating shows that this is a major state-sponsored activity. And they intended the workers who constructed the pyramids to be well-fed.
The evidence from the workers' village suggests a new theory, that the pyramid builders aren't slaves at all, but are living in tailor-made housing, getting paid in beer and bread, and the finest cuts of meat. Then, inside the Great Pyramid, more evidence emerges. Archaeologists study writings in a chamber above the king's tomb. While it's common practice for explorers to leave their names, creating a unique record of exploration, among the modern marks are strange symbols. Written on one of the massive roof slabs, a hieroglyph from 4,500 years ago.
Red markings denote which crew was responsible for dragging that giant block.
This hieroglyph reveals the workers' relationship to the pharaoh. It is a crew name, the Friends of Khufu. It suggests a crew united in its task, working for the king.
We should really imagine these work crews with a spirit of togetherness. And you get more of that sense of highly organized, concentrated labor, as opposed to our imaginings of slaves being whipped as they bring stones up the ramps to the pyramids.
It leads Egyptologists to a final conclusion about the pyramid workers, disproving the long-held belief that the pyramids are built by slaves, and part of a growing body of evidence that suggests they are highly specialized artisans.
Our modern archaeological discoveries have established beyond a shadow of a doubt that the pyramids were constructed by laborers paid by the state, masons, specialists, quarrymen, overseers, architects.
It means experts can now consider the pyramids as more than tombs for a king. They're time-tested monuments to the ingenuity and the skill of the men who build them.
The workers who participated in the pyramids knew that their labors would be seen for thousands of years, and that sense of pride in creating both immortality for the king and a monument that would stand for thousands of years. It is all really remarkable.